This is Child and Society. You are welcome again. We are this morning going to be talking about child abuse. We're going to be focusing directly on child sexual abuse. As you know, your presenter today is Vivi. Vivi Colley is a child protection consultant, and I'm the producer of this program. Child abuse is the topic, and we'll be looking at child sexual abuse. What is child sexual abuse? Who are the perpetrators? Who are the victims? What are the consequences of having been sexually abused? What are the consequences for the child, for the family, for the society? How does it impact on children? Today we'll be looking at aspects of child abuse, where it happens, at home, at school, at religious organizations, at groups, within extended family system. Do we really believe children when they tell us that they are abused? Do we believe? What is the state doing? What are states doing? What are our responsibilities as citizens, as parents, as community leaders? Today we'll be looking at that. Thank you. Viewers, I'm going to be introducing you to my guest. On my left,
Mr. Ale Mekezeji.
And?
Dorcas Maya.
You are both welcome to this program.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Dorcas. You're a child protection consultant. You're based in London. You've been working with children, both children from African and children from United Kingdom. Can you tell us a little bit about what your understanding of child sexual abuse is all about?
Thank you, Vera. Child sexual abuse, its definition is very complex and is very broad because it takes different forms of activities that contributes to child sexual abuse. It could be physical contact. It could be exposing children to inappropriate or age-inappropriate sexual activities. We do have very commonly now people think pornography is something that is it can be watched, and parents sometimes sit down in the living room with their children watching these sexual explicit programs that contributes to sexual abuse. Talking about sexual activities maybe beyond a child's knowledge, that again is sexual abuse. Touching a child's private parts or making a comment. There is so much common in the society because we do live in a socially constructed society where people are expected to dress a certain way. Looking at children in a certain way, that staring at them because they're wearing short dresses or shorts or bikini, that contributes to sexual abuse. Then it goes further by looking further to touch the child or discuss a sexually inappropriate subject with the child. That's sexual abuse. And then it leads to physical, sometimes touching, which is inappropriate, then maybe physical sexual intercourse.
Okay, you've been talking about types of what happens to children. How will children get to know if they're being sexually abused, or if someone is trying to abuse them? Are children usually aware? Are their parents usually aware? We know that sexual abuse takes place at home. It does happen, I mean, uncles, aunties do abuse children. It's not only men that abuse children, as you know. House boys, house girls are also abusers. Teachers, clergymen, scoutmasters, policemen, even your GP can be an abuser. So what do we look out for? How do we really know if somebody is trying to abuse our child? Your best friend could be an abuser. Can I?
Yeah, it's like my colleague here rightly said, child sexual abuse is got a broad definition. You cannot actually, give a particular definition. It has to do with, where, when, and the situation that warrants it. Like in the house, if a family member is involved in probably child sex abuse, it becomes incest, as they call it. You can see that also in churches. You can see that in, say, in schools and other places. But the issue is child abuse takes place when child sex abuse takes place when a young child is being used by an adult or an older adolescent for sexual stimulation or something like that. Sometimes even the child does not even understand, but as an older person, you are the one who is in a position to know that what you're doing is not right. When there is a situation whereby is a compromising situation with the young child, some of them are scared, to tell the parents. So that's when you call in for maybe, say, the security agents to be involved in such a situation if the parents are aware of it, that such a thing is happening.
So sexual abuse really can take the forms of even kissing a child.
Yeah.
When you kiss a child that is not really your child, and when you kiss a child, always want to kiss a child, it's sex abuse. Touching children in places where it's not, you are not supposed to touch. It's a child's right to, for you not to touch the child inappropriately. And when you are touching a child in the private places like the pint area of the child, the upper region of the child, the stroking of the hair of the child when you shouldn't be really doing that, and when you're often doing that, you're actually not respecting the child's right. It is when you're exposing a child to watching adult films that children should not be watching, it's abusing a child. When you are always talking in a way that is sexual to a very underage child, you are actually exposing. You are trying to groom the child. Parents need to watch out for some of these things, especially when a friend or a family member is always wanting to take your child out. Yeah, always, particular child, always buying present for particular child. Parents should watch out for these things. And
also in a very, having some place, sometimes maybe an older person, spending more time with a younger person in a secret place. Those situations can create an environment where the child is being abused. Like an older person playing a game, some types of game, maybe doctor-patient type of game, thereby pulling off shades, exposing, say, private genitals. Even in some cultures, you can, there are cultures that adopt child marriage.
Yes.
That's also another form of child abuse.
It's interesting. What have you got to say on this, the child marriage thing?
Well, it's part of sexual abuse, and that includes child trafficking. And again, the bottom line is because children are being groomed. By grooming, it starts from home, as you rightly say. Most of the times, sexual abuse is not coming from a stranger. It's within the very close family member or very close friend or trusted member of the family, or maybe churches, pastors, and there is that relationship of power, which then goes down to control. If you got a pastor, is expected to be respected because they are in a position of trust, and then they start telling children how good they are, or sometimes bringing all this fear that if you don't do this, this will happen to you, or this will happen to your family, or this will happen to your mother. And the children become very vulnerable. As a child, they are coming into the world where they don't know what to do. and they begin to listen to this, whoever the abuser is. Because the abuser, they've got an agenda already.
Yes.
They know they want to abuse.
Yes.
So they will go in very sophisticated forms.
Right. All right. We are still talking, viewers, we are still talking about child sexual abuse. The lines are open if you want to join in this discussion. Professionals out there working in child protection fields, you are free to please join in this discussion. We are talking about what happens to children when they are sexually abused. We are talking about adults who are disempowering children, taking advantages of vulnerable young children. Some adults themselves who are abusers, under the pretense of marriage, will go and negotiate marriage with underage. It is an abuse. Doctors, please, can you help us look at what happens to those children who get abused? What kind of signs do they display? How can a parent or a teacher or a relation who is living with a child, find out whether this child, something is going on? Does it? What do they do? How can you find out?
Yeah, sexual abuse is very, very complex area. And the victims, particularly, we talk about children, they do not usually say, and they will not disclose.
Yeah.
So as a parent or as anybody who is looking after the child, there are signs of withdrawal. Children can be withdrawn.
Yeah.
They don't talk, or they don't play, they're just sad.
Yes.
And maybe they are confused.
And some children also may become hyperactive, promiscuous, wanting to use some promiscuous languages here.
Yeah. Well, it's sexual. They're not promiscuous per se, because that's a word I wouldn't use for children who are being abused, because they are vulnerable. No, they will exhibit sexual inappropriate behavior. Or then by saying maybe, or they come up with a word that you would not expect from a child of their age.
Sexual words.
Sexual words.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we know that sometimes children have incontinence of urine, incontinence of feces. Some of them may not be down to the fact that a child is being abused. It could also be down to other medical reasons. But even so, if your child is reporting incontinence unnecessarily, can't hold urine, having issues around the anal region, take the child to GP to check that child out. But it could also be signs of a child who is being disturbed sexually by an adult.
There are a couple of other issues, that some children face when they are sexually abused. Like some of them can go into depression, anxiety, stress.
Affect their education as well. They can't concentrate.
They can't concentrate. Some regressive behaviors. Like
what about the body region? Some children, we know research says that some children will start wearing and kind of trying to cover themselves.
Yeah, that's withdrawal. Signs.
Why would a young child, be covering themselves? It will be an indication that something must be going on.
Because they are trying to withdraw. They cannot handle it. They don't understand it.
It could be fear as well, because being naked to them is something that is negative.
Okay.
And they will start trying to cover themselves. Usually mom walks in, or anybody can walk in when they're dressing, but they would like to be very protective, because that's how they feel. They are being safe and covering themselves. Maybe they can't dress or undress in front of other children of their age, or maybe same sex as well.
Yeah. We are still waiting. I think a caller was trying to call in a minute ago. Callers, you can call us, you can text into this, our phone will answer you right here, because we are live. Today we are live. Join us in this program. We are talking about child sexual abuse, what it does to children. How does a parent know that the child is being abused? How does school get involved? How do they get involved? Now, we also have a live case which we'll be showcasing when we take have a minute. We'll have a live case. Someone will be coming in a minute. But before that person comes in, we're going to also talk about few things again about child sexual abuse. How do we report child sexual abuse?
There is always a procedure for reporting such situations. The police is there, the social welfare is there. There are other agencies that protect the children that one can report. But there are some situations whereby some parents won't even want to.
I'm going to be calling. I'm being told now I need to get the life experienced person in here right now. Can I just ask you to tell us what are your experiences? You were a young girl who went to live in Nigeria. You lived in Nigeria because you had to go there, haven't been sent by your parents. But on getting there, you were exposed to a lot of child sexual abuse issues, during which time you lived from one home to another home and to another home. All the people you were supposed to trust, unfortunately, abused you basically, even up to a level when you reported to one of your uncle's wives, and she disbelieved you and she told you, well, you're on your own, see the road. You have really suffered sexual abuse. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience, and so that the viewers will learn from that?
Yes, when I was young, about 16, I was taken to Nigeria and I was sexually abused by my carers, people that my parents trusted to take care of me. When I voiced out to the man's wife, she basically told me that I was lying and that I can't stay with them anymore. And
okay. Right, do you have that question?
Yeah, that brings me again to say, how do we pick up the children who are sexually abused? It's the trust. Children, we don't believe children, and we need to develop a relationship with the children. From her experience, she did not have anybody to talk to, even to tell. She does say she told the wife, but the wife did not believe her. So that's the complexity of child sexual abuse.
So children are not usually believed. You felt you were not believed, yeah?
I didn't feel I wasn't believed. I wasn't believed at all.
What about your mother? Did your mother believe you? Your father?
No, even when I told her that one of her brothers actually had sex with me when I was younger, younger than the 16, it became a big family issue.
So it does impact on the family?
Yeah, yes. Could we say it's because of probably the stigma attached to it?
Yes.
That was why?
Yes, it's a big stigma. I mean, I'm afraid to show my face today because of that, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It is the parents that they need to believe their children all the time. It is the awareness that the parent, you are a parent, you've got a child, you trust a friend or a relative to look after your child.
Okay.
And you need to listen to your child, what the child is telling you. So
in this program, we have listened about what happens to children when they are abused. And we've heard from a victim of child sexual abuse is saying that she was not believed. And we know that from this, that child abuse, especially sexual abuse, impact on family system. It does affect your family. Your parents may not believe you. The child may not be believed. The relationship between the child and the parents becomes shifty because of this lack of trust. It affects the child all through their life. Can you just tell us a little, because I'm coming to the end of this program now.
Yeah. I was actually depressed for a very long time.
Depression?
I don't trust anyone.
Can't trust?
Because right now I actually have my own little family,
right?
A child, but I can't trust anyone with my child.
So these are the effects of child abuse. It's affected her life. It's still affecting her life till today. So parents out there, we need you to please begin to look at those signs. We are not telling you to become sick, but begin to look at those signs. Respect your children, believe in them. Make sure that you report child abuse to appropriate authorities, the police, the schools. social services in this state. In Nigeria, you go to social welfare office. Depending on the severity, you go to the police directly. Please do not take child abuse as an easy thing, because it affects the child all their life. It affects you, your family system. It affects your family structure. It affects your relationship that you have with your child. Then and in future, do something about it. Don't sit down. Thank you very much.
Also, children need to be empowered to pick up the phone to ring NSPCC and other organizations that they can be there for them. In Nigeria, those of you in Nigeria, there are many organizations in Nigeria that you can ring. One of the organizations is ChildVoiceNG and children's program in Gwarimpa. There's also another program in Enugu for those people in Enugu. Yeah. Please do pick up the phone and ring them. Yes, have you got something else to say before?
Yes.
Now we are coming to the end of this program. Parents and young people and children avoid or prevent sexual child abuse.
And when you feel that you are being abused, report it to your parents or your family members.
Child abuse is real. Thank you for watching Child and Society. Next week, we are going to continue on these issues around child abuse. There are issues around physical abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect. We are not stopping here. It's real. It's an abuse. And we adults and responsible others who are